I just want to find 11,780 votes, which is one more than we have.
Trump's looking for votes.
Has he finally lost it?
Let's talk about it, y'all. Middle America.
Well, the big homie Ron from the Middle America Forum on Facebook, if you would like to join, dear listener, facebook.com/America Middle, tagged me in a post and said, Vin, you have got to do a conversation about this. This is crazy. So having said that, I decided to take the file, and you and I are going to be hearing this for the first time. So apparently this is some major groundbreaking whatever thing with Trump that just got leaked to the Washington Post.
Oh, this is a leak thing.
Yeah. So
is that why there's no video?
Yeah. It's a phone call, I guess, and I guess he was talking to some Georgia.
The governor?
Some folks and Republicans in Georgia. So with that said, here we go.
This election in Georgia, based on all of this, and there's nothing wrong with saying that, Brad. You know, I mean, having a correct. The people of Georgia are angry, and these numbers are going to be repeated on Monday night, along with others that we're going to have by that time, which are much more substantial even. And the people of Georgia are angry. The people of the country are angry. And there's nothing wrong with saying that, you know, that you've recalculated.
Okay. First of all, that's a pretty delusional thing to say. No, Mr. Trump, you did not win Georgia. You lost Georgia. And it looks like he's saying there's nothing wrong with saying, you know, that you've recalculated. Huh?
Is there context for this? I'm so confused.
The context is he lost Georgia, which he was supposed to win, and I guess he's calling up these Republican influencers in Georgia and telling them, tell the people that you're recounting, because we really won Georgia. No, you didn't.
Oh, is that what's going on?
You lost Georgia. Georgia went blue. You did not win. What's going on with your man? Are you still, by the way, DL, are you still under the delusion that Trump actually won the vote, or are you...
It's suspicious. That's all I'm saying. Suspicious.
Okay, so do you think this is right for Trump to tell these people, to tell the public that they've recalculated?
I don't think that's what he's...
That's what he literally just said. That there's nothing wrong with saying, you know, that you've recalculated.
That's also suspicious.
That's also suspicious, he says. In other news, the Pope is Catholic.
Well, Mr. President, the challenge that you have is the data you have is wrong.
Oh, no.
I was just watching this biopic of King Henry. And, you know, King Henry would say, do this, do that. And it was, like, impossible. And his little servants would be like, well, my lord the king, this is not going to work. The challenge you have is that the data is wrong. Yeah, I'd say that's a challenge. Mr. Trump, that's a challenge. What's going on with your guy? I've never seen anything like this before in my life. This dude is completely losing his mind. He lost. You lost. So the challenge that you have is that the data that you have is not accurate. Okay, we continue. Holy moly.
Now, do you think it's possible that they shredded ballots in Fulton County? Because that's what the rumor is. And also that Dominion took out machines. That Dominion is really moving fast to get rid of their machinery. Do you know anything about that? Because that's illegal.
No, Ryan Germany. No, Dominion has not moved any machinery out of Fulton County. We're having.
But have they moved? Have they moved the inner parts of the machines and replaced them with other parts?
No.
You sure, Brian?
I'm sure.
So that's the Secretary of State of Georgia. And he's trying to get the Secretary of State of Georgia to go along with these crazy internet conspiracy theories about how Dominion, the voting machine people, cut up all their stuff so that, So Ryan Germany is a general counsel for Georgia's Secretary of State. So he's the lawyer to the Secretary of State. So he knows the legalese inside and out. And he's trying to get these people to confirm these crazy Facebook conspiracy theories, and and he's like, no. He's like, are you sure? Yes. DL, what is happening with your boy?
I guess you just can't believe that he lost to Biden, or that they were able to cover the track so well. It's pretty shocking.
What's shocking?
That Biden won. I mean, that's pretty shocking.
So this is what we do. We go after the Secretary of State of Georgia. Well, I mean, he's not going after him. He's just telling him what to do. So you got to give him that vote of charity. All right, we continue.
You should want to have an accurate election.
Wow.
And you're a Republican.
We believe that we do have an accurate election.
No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't have. Not even close. You're up by hundreds of thousands of votes. You know what they did, and you're not reporting it. That's a criminal offense, and you can't let that happen. That's a big risk to you and to Ryan, your lawyer.
Whoa.
It's a big risk, but they are shredding ballots, in my opinion, based on what I've heard, and they are removing machinery, and they're moving it as fast as they can. Both of which are criminal fines, and you can't let it happen, and you are letting it happen. I'm notifying you that you're letting it happen.
I'm notifying you that you're letting it happen. That looks like a veiled threat to me.
Yeah.
He's saying, this is criminal. If you don't do what I say, this is criminal, and you're letting this criminal thing happen, and I am notifying you that I'm letting it happen. I don't know, bro. That seems like... the Zelensky call, all the stuff about Ukraine, I was like, this is ridiculous, this is desperate, and it was complete BS, and I'll stand by that. But holy moly, this to me, when they were trying to find like some weird quid pro quo with the Zelensky call over there in Ukraine, and there really wasn't any, there was all, but this is different though. He's saying this is criminal, and I am notifying you that this is criminal. That's not good. Do you think this is a proper phone call currently? Do you think that this is proper? You think that this is right? This is good for our democracy, this type of rhetoric? Come on, Trump supporter.
I think that he should just have a peaceful transfer of power so that when he runs again in 2024, he can have more neutral people on his side. It's not what America stands for, to have tyranny and all the other stuff. If there's an election and something happens, and you should just go along with it and hope to cut your losses in the next one, which I'm sure will happen because Biden's going to be a complete disaster, but you can't go around threatening people like this.
Did you take this as a threat? Did you interpret it that way? Because I was just trying to figure out. It just seems strange. I mean, it's just a strange thing to say. I'm notifying you that you did this thing. It's just very strange to say. He's saying he's not. Yeah, and he's saying this is based according to the rumors that I've heard. He's like, you're all the way in Washington, Trump, so you're hearing rumors. Fine. These guys are literally on the ground, and they're Republicans, and they're telling you no. Dominion did not do that stuff. You lost. Holy moly. I'm notifying you I'm letting it happen. Okay.
So, look, all I want to do is this. I just want to find 11,780 votes, which is one more than we have, because we won the state.
What? What did you just say? I want to find 11,780 votes? What?
This is not looking good.
So first,
what is he gonna do on Inauguration Day?
First, he says First, Trump says, hey, I actually won the state. No, you didn't. You lost by about 12,000 votes. Then he tells the folks, this is criminal what happened to me, and I am telling you that it's criminal. And then he says, hey, I just need to find 11,780 votes. What do you mean find them? What is the Secretary of State and his lawyer, what are you telling them to do? You're going to find 12,000 votes, Mr. Trump? What is happening? This is not good. You know, people talking about, oh, Trump could end up in jail afterwards, and I laughed at the whole thing. That, you're going to find, listen, all you Trump supporters, listen very closely to me. Listen to me. I mean, do you agree that that's crazy?
It's pretty wild. I think all those cases got thrown out. I think she should just live to find another day. I don't know. I mean... Trump supporters,
listen to me.
It's not looking well.
Hear me! All of you in Trump's America. When the Zelensky call came out, I said it was a giant nothing burger. There's nothing there. This is ridiculous. You can look back at the videos. This is not the Zelensky call. This is mega serious. And please, are you trying to tell me that in 2016, if we would have heard a call like this, now at the time, Hillary wasn't president, she was former Secretary of State. But if she would have said, hey, you guys let Trump win and that's criminal, and I'm telling you as a former Secretary of State who knows Barack Hussein Obama, and then she says, look, I just need to find a couple thousand votes to turn around some of those swing states that I lost because I really won them. You're trying to tell me that if you heard that as a Trump supporter, you wouldn't be chanting, lock her up! Yikes. I wonder what this lawyer says to Mr. Trump after he says he wants to find 11,780 votes. Holy moly.
Tell me, Brad, what are we going to do? We won the election, and it's not fair to take it away from us like this.
Oh, no.
I shouldn't be laughing. I shouldn't be laughing. But,
Do you think he actually has anything to threaten them with? Or do you think it's just empty threats?
No, I just think it's Trump only has one tool. Remember I tell you all the time to lead by influence and not control?
Yeah.
All he has is one tool because his entire life he's been in a position of power.
So it's 70 years old.
It's always been, he's
never had an opportunity ever to not. He's always been.
When he got a small loan of $1 million from his dad in 1970, whatever. When a small loan of $1 million was probably equivalent to like $15 million now. But my point is, me and your mom got done watching this show about King Henry VIII, and he'd always refer to himself as a plural of majesty, right? So he'd say, we have a headache, we're sick. It's basically like when you're a king, you're such an important person that you can't refer to yourself in the singular, you refer to yourself in the plural, like God does in the Bible. Speaks of himself in plural terms.
Does he do that because he's three people?
Well, right, we're Trinitarian, so the English adopted that and started using themselves as plurals of majesty.
That's weird.
So he says, we won the election. It's not fair to take it away from us.
I think he needs supporters.
I know. That's probably what he's talking about. But it is reminiscent of King Henry VIII. Because every time we were watching the show, I was like, this guy reminds me of Trump and Beluga. All right, we continue. Holy moly.
And it's going to be very costly in many ways.
Costly?
And I think you have to say that you're going to re-examine it, and you can re-examine it, but re-examine it with people that want to find answers, not people that don't want to find answers.
Why did he do this over the phone?
This is the question I'm asking myself. After the Zelensky call, you would figure that he, at this point, would know that there are actors within his little closed circle there that don't like him, and keep leaking these calls. Why would you do this? I was working with a guy one time, and he was texting this girl that he was managing back and forth. He was texting her, she was sending him pictures and all this nonsense. Well, then he was
working with her?
Oh, yeah. He was working for me, and she was working for him. So finally, he has to write her up because she did XYZ, right? So this girl comes to my office, and I'm like, yeah, he wrote you up because you did the wrong thing, yada, yada, yada. Well, she's like, well, he wrote me up because I stopped sending him pictures. I'm like, what are you talking about? And then she shows me the text messages of all the pictures of him back and forth. So I had to fire this guy. I brought him in, why the hell would you put all that in text? Not to mention the fact that the guy was married or whatever. But I'm like, why would you put that in text, you dumb butt? And here he is. Launch another investigation unnecessarily because there's no evidence currently to justify what I'm saying. And then on top of that, get the people from that want to have the confirmation bias that something fishy happened.
Well, it's not saying that. That's what he means when he's saying, actually, he's saying those people who don't want to fight anything, those people who actually want to know what happened for real. But what the subtext obviously is, look for people who are on my side.
Yeah, I won't even challenge that. The audience can decide. We continue.
For instance, I'm hearing Ryan, and he's probably, I'm sure, a great lawyer and everything, but he's making statements about those ballots that he doesn't know. But he's making them with such, he did make them with surety, but now I think he's less sure, because the answer is they all went to Biden. And that alone wins us the election by a lot.
No, it does not. No, he's saying this guy is speaking with so much confidence about something he doesn't know about. No, that's you. You are saying things that you have absolutely no evidence for.
Is this normal? Is this like normally happen?
No, it does not. Like, that's the thing. Barack Hussein Obama did everything he possibly could. We know they spied on Trump and all the rest of it. But when Trump won, they surrendered it to Trump.
But how do you know there wasn't any phone calls or anything? Like, is this like a normal thing, or it's because they got leaked, or like?
I am certain that if there were phone calls where Barack or Hillary, if Hillary would have done it, I'm sure that would have gotten leaked. That's not what happened. Which is why they had to do the Russia thing on CNN and MSNBC for 4 years, and everybody knew it was BS. Well, not everybody, but it was. This, however, is not.
Mr. President, you have people that submit information, and we have our people that submit information, and then it comes before the court, and the court then has to make a determination. We have to stand by our numbers. We believe our numbers are right.
Well, under law, you're not allowed to give faulty election results, okay? You're not allowed to do that, and that's what you've done. This is a faulty election result. And honestly, this should go very fast. You should meet tomorrow. Because a big election coming up, right. And because of what you've done to the president, the people of Georgia know that this was a scam. And because of what you've done to the president, a lot of people aren't going out to vote. And a lot of Republicans are going to vote negative because they hate what you did to the president. Okay? They hate it. And they're going to vote. And if you would be respected, really respected, if this thing could be straightened out before the election. You have a big election coming up on Tuesday.
Wow.
They do. The Senate runoff.
Wow. So he's throwing everything he can against the wall. First he implies that they're doing something illegal. He's like, I'm telling you now. And then he says, I need you to find me 11,780 votes. And then he tops it off with saying, well, you got a big election coming up. People are going to be mad at you. I mean, losing a guy like Trump with his psychological makeup, I'm sure losing to Biden is the ultimate embarrassment. Losing to a guy like, Sleepy Joe Biden, who you have, tens of thousands of hours of gag reels of ridiculous, silly, embarrassing statements. He called his sister his wife, etc., etc. To lose to a guy like that, I'm sure, is very hard for a guy like Trump.
Yeah.
But what's mind-boggling to me is, does he not see that this type of flailing is more embarrassing than losing to Biden in the first place? Like, this to me is way more embarrassing than losing on Tuesday. Like, what is going on with this guy? And now, I'm like, okay, January 6th is when the inauguration is supposed to happen.
January 6th?
Mike Pence can overturn the election results. But we'll probably shoot another video on that. I've got to do a little bit more research on it. But holy crap, this is not good, DL. This right here is a real serious issue, and I think that I don't know enough legalese. I'm assuming that if Mr. Trump put himself in some sort of legal peril, that the attorney there would have said, "Hey, Mr. Trump, like, be careful, yada yada." Unless he's the one that leaked it. Somebody from Trump's inner circle, or one of these two individuals, leaked this to the Washington Post. The Washington Post is not a newspaper outfit that is friendly to Mr. Trump at all. So they leaked it to the Post. I mean, this is one of those situations, you know, we've been watching a lot of, like, you know, Game of Thrones, like, a lot of the chess moves and all the things that happen. And one of the things that's interesting is you can go from power to complete nothingness in a very short period of time, and the people that were like sucking up to you and, you know, genuflecting before you can turn on you in an instant once that balance of power shifts. And that's what happened, and he's now losing it because he cannot. I think for Trump, he doesn't care about what happens, to your point, about our democracy, about the well-being and health of our country. And I think he knows that there's no way he's going to actually win this argument. But for me, I think to be able to plant that, quote, seed of doubt in the minds of his most devoted followers is enough for him, so that he can walk around and say, "I didn't really lose, I was robbed, blah, blah, blah," so he doesn't have to deal with the embarrassment of actually losing to Biden. That's what I think is happening. I can't really believe that. Do you really think that he thinks that he's actually got a shot to retain the presidency?
Yeah, I think he thinks that, because I mean, he's like in his mid-70s, something like that, and everything's worked out for him so far, so, including a presidential election, the first one. 2021
is not looking good if you are a Trump supporter. Now look, I have been consistent this entire time. When the Russiagate stuff came on, I said, "Come on, guys, that is ridiculous." When the Zelensky call happened, I said, "Guys, that is an extreme nothing burger." I yelled into the camera last year many a time because of this nonsense with Russia, but this right here, we have got to be consistent. If you heard a Democrat saying this, you would be chanting, "Lock him up, lock her up." This is beyond the pale. It's worse than anything I've seen so far. I mean, you can say the spying that Obama did, and the setup that Fusion GPS did with Hillary and Trump, those were bad, underhanded, but to me, those are all just political games. Me personally, I didn't really think Watergate was that big of a deal. But this is the president. He still has power, and on top of that, keep in mind, Trump has always had an inordinate amount of power, even prior to the presidency, because of who he is. This is a guy threatening people who are influential in making sure that the integrity of our democracy stays on pat. And he's telling them that he needs to find basically 12,000 votes so he can win Georgia. Whoa. I'm out. That's crazy. That's out of bounds. And it's got to be... Look, I'm completely ignorant on case law in regards to these matters, but you cannot tell me that if Watergate took down a whole bunch of people and put Chuck Colson in prison and all this, destroyed Nixon's presidency, you cannot tell me that this is not worse than what we saw in Watergate. You can't tell me that. Because Watergate was simply spying to figure out the angle that your political opponent's going to use and yada, yada, yada. It was not about reversing the results of a fair election. This right here is, you know, I'm not going to use a fascist line for this particular situation, but to your point, the peaceful transfer of power has been a staple in Western democracies and has, for the most part, which is an anomaly in human history, created a somewhat stable empire that doesn't have these internal squabbles where, you know, there's one point in Rome when you had 3 Caesars in the span of like 2 years. Galba, Otho, all these people keep getting assassinated. So you have actual democracy and the peaceful transfer of power so that there isn't the necessity for that type of situation. So this is massively, massively serious. And the thing that kills me, this is what I was saying during the impeachment process to Democrats. I'm like, you guys are celebrating this ridiculous BS impeachment. What happens when one of your folks is a president and the Republicans have the majority in the House and they just decide they want to randomly impeach one of your folks? What's good for the goose is good for the gander. Hello, Republicans! If this is allowed to go unpunished, then the Democrats can do the same thing. You've just set a precedent. You have got... Think about the big picture. Okay, to your point, the Biden presidency is going to be a disaster.
Yeah.
Biden already told those Wall Street people nothing significant is going to change. There have already been about 2 or 3 unarmed black men killed by police. Biden has done and said nothing. Kamala has done and said nothing. Nothing is going to change in the next 4 years. Take the loss, like DL said, and then rebuild for 2024. But this right here, the Republican Party needs to censure Trump for this.
What is that?
You can do that. You can censure. You can come together and have a congressional House meeting, and you can say, "We officially censure this. This was bad." Censure is basically like a public rebuke, a smack on the hand type of thing. They did it to Ilhan when Ilhan put that post up about the Benjamins and whatever, and supposedly that made her anti-Semitic. They had the Democrats got together and they censured her in the Senate.
Democrats.
Yeah. That's a whole different conversation. But something needs to happen on the Republican side of this. The Republican Party has got to distance themselves now from Trump, because this right here is crazy. And if there is a scintilla of patriotism in your bones, if you're a Trump supporter, you have got to at least concede this is not good. This is not good. Not a good way to start 2021. Everybody knows I was never a fan of Mr. Trump. I'm not a fan of Mr. Biden. But how you feel about a person is separate from the objective facts about what we just heard on the call. Now, the only thing that can save Trump is that apparently this was an hour-long call. So obviously this video was edited by the Washington Post, who already has an obvious bias against Mr. Trump. So maybe Mr. Trump can come up with his own version of the call, but I don't know, man. I don't know. There's certain things where I feel like we have enough context. But anyway, we'll be watching to see what happens on Tuesday. Love your neighbor.
Take care of each other.
Middle America.
We are the media.
Till next time, guys.